But I finished my brown sweater that I really love. I don't know, I guess I'm very bad at estimating how much yarn I need since I have this much left. It's something I haven't shown you here before. A surprise object for me, like this. Hi friends, welcome to Knitted Creations podcast. We are at episode number 8. My name is Elsa. I'm a PhD student who loves to knit and who loves to share my knitting. So welcome to this space where I just share all about my knitting and my knitting plans. In this episode, I thought I'd give you a update on the things that I have finished. So my finished objects, my current whips, my upcoming projects. I will have one acquisition at the end of the episode because last episode was the yarn haul from the yarn festival in Stockholm. So I haven't bought that much. I do have one thing that I want to share at the end though. I think I'll also give you a brief update at the end of the video regarding everything that's going on in my life as of now. But let's get started with my finished objects. So one of the finished objects is the sweater that I'm wearing. It's my Ingrid sweater, and it's the second Ingrid sweater I've knit. So I do have some photos that I could share and some b-rolls that I could share as well from when I finished this project. The lighting that we have right now in Stockholm, even though it's during lunchtime, it's not the best, so I don't know how easy it is for you to see. But I finished my brown sweater that I really love. I am completely in love with this finished object. It's exactly what I wanted it to be like. So I have done the Ingrid sweater pattern by Petite Knit, if I did not say that. I have done the Ingrid sweater once before, last year sometime in October I think. When I did it the first time, I completely followed the pattern. I did everything as it said, but I did do a modification to the neck. So I chose to do a different neck from what it said in the pattern. So I chose to do a 1x1 rib for the neck and then fold it down and then knit it together. So it has a different look. I also did the increases for the sleeves on the first version. So it has a different look from what this one has, because I also knitted that one in one size smaller than the one I'm wearing right now. I think I was very inspired when I saw Woozy by Celine. She showed her Ingrid sweater, which she did in a very oversized pattern and did no modification here, like no decreases for the sleeves. So I think that's where I got the inspiration and really also wanted to make a similar sweater for myself in this pattern that I really love. So the yarn I've used, let's see if I wrote that down. I've also talked about this in my other podcasts. So the yarn I used for this sweater was Helholt Ullspinneri 5.5/2 in the color brown, together with Knitting for Olive soft silk mohair in the color dark cognac. This is how much I have left from both the mohair and the wool. I was afraid that I would not have enough of the wool yarn for my sweater, so I was quite afraid of losing yarn chicken, but I don't know, I guess I'm very bad at estimating how much yarn I need since I have this much left. I haven't weighed it, so I don't know exactly how much I still have, but maybe it's like 30 grams or something, because it was a 50-gram ball of yarn to begin with, but I've used quite a lot, so it's not very dense at the moment. However, I do have a lot of the mohair still, So these two will get into my stash yarn, and then I can use it for something else in the future. But this is how much I still have. So this will go into my stash yarn box. Now the pattern in itself, it's a drop shoulder pattern, all over texture, very fun and intriguing to knit. But I think that for me, I really thought it would be as intriguing as it was the first time, but I think that I lost interest in this pattern because it's knitted on 4mm needles, so it takes some time to knit. And the sweater is quite, time consuming because there's a lot of different things you have to take into account. You have to count how many rows you've done for different parts. You have to be very awake when it comes to the pattern. It's just not an easy knit that you could just sit on and knit whenever you want without really thinking too much. So this one is very you have to be really into it to remember where you are at the pattern. So I think that I grew really tired of this one before I knew it, because as I said, I've done this before and I did not experience that at all for my first Ingrid sweater. However, I think that because I had knit that sweater before, I have knitted this Ingrid sweater before, I knew what was coming, and I guess that made me not very excited. So it took me quite a lot of energy to actually finish this sweater, and I don't really enjoy having that feeling when I'm knitting something. It's been the sweater I've used most since I finished this, so I really love it and I'm very happy with the sweater. But it's just the feeling of not being very excited to knit something just to finish it. It's not really something that I strive for. So I must say it was quite hard to finish this sweater. For me, I've noticed that the part that's most difficult for me is the first sleeve. A lot of people talk about the second sleeve and getting stuck on the second sleeve island, but I usually get extra fire when I have to do the second sleeve because I don't know, I just feel like I really want to complete the sweater. So the second sleeve is usually something that I knit very fast through, but the first sleeve can take me forever to finish. So that was the case for this sweater as well. So this whole sweater was completed when I had it was I had the whole sleeve, second sleeve left 3 weekends ago or 2 weekends ago, I don't really remember. And I decided that weekend will be to finish this whole sweater so I can just put it aside and don't have to think about it for a while. But yeah, it's also it took me a very long time to knit this. I think it all took me almost 8 weeks, and I think it's the combination of having a lot of projects going on at the same time, also gifting knits, and then having to come back to a big project that's very, there's a lot of thinking involved. It took me such a long time, and I just, lost interest along the way. So I'm very happy that I managed to finish this one, and I love the color. I love how the sleeves turn out in the width. I love the fit, and in this pattern I chose to do the color that Petite Knit recommends, the one that is in the pattern. And I even grew so tired of it. I think I still have a tail here that I haven't sewn in. I mean, that's I think that I just, from the outside it looks complete and everything, but I still have a few tails here and there that I haven't sewn in. So that's just to show you how tired I grew of it at the end. Something I can easily fix now, but I just haven't. I think I also kept specifically the one here at the neck because I wasn't sure if I wanted to keep this height of the neck or if I wanted to make it, higher than I have now, because I think I did 2 rows less than Petite Knit recommends, both for the 1x1 and the 2x2 rib that's here. So I wasn't sure if this would be a good fit or not, but I think I really like it. So I will just keep it. So I will not touch this sweater anymore. I'm done with this sweater. But overall, very happy with Ingrid's sweater version 2. And I love the color. I think I have said that a lot, but it's not enough. I really, really, really love the color. So that's one of my finished objects. My second finished object is something I haven't shown you here before. It was quite a surprise to me, I guess, that I chose to do this pattern. My friend sent me a pattern of a hat called the Prospect Terrace cabled hat. It's a free pattern, and it's this all over cabled hat, and it's knitted on 5mm needles. And I've seen this hat on her a couple of times, and it's a very beautiful hat. I've really wanted to create something that would be a fast project for myself, because I feel like I've had like these long projects that I've been knitting on for weeks and months without getting anything out of it. So when I decided that I wanted to knit this one, I put all of my focus onto this beanie or hat. I'm so happy with the project. You start here from the bottom, and then you do 1x1 rib for a while until you get here where I believe you change needles to one size bigger, and then you start the cables, and the cables go all the way up. Since it's knitted on 5mm needles, it was a very fast project. So the like knitting itch, you know, the finding a project that really scratched the itch just to like finish something very fast was so rewarding for me. So I do have a few photos of me wearing this hat. I was a bit afraid of it being too small when I had finished it, because the circumference is great, but I think I wouldn't have mind it being like one cable, you know, extra in length, because I think there's 2 sizes, and I did the smallest size that I followed. And for the bigger size, she wrote 1 extra cable. If I'm not mistaken, I think it was 1 extra cable for the bigger size. And I think I wouldn't have mind doing that like extra cable for the small size, just to create more length to the hat. However, I'm still very, very happy with this finished object, a surprise object for me. Also something very rewarding. It's, you know, sometimes you just really find those projects that's so rewarding that you're like surprised. So it's 2 different types of cables. First time for me doing this type of cable. I don't know what it's called, but it has a stitch, like a knit stitch in the middle, and then you have smaller cables going towards that knit stitch. And that combination with that cable together with this like 3 stitch cable, I just think it's such a beautiful, I don't know, I'm just like in awe of this pattern. It's also that it was a free pattern that I could really recommend. And it's also something that you could do from stash yarn. So I did knit this pattern from stash yarn. My friend has knitted this pattern for different, I think she's knitted this one like multiple times, but because I believe that she gifted this knit for her supervisors for her PhD defense. So I think she has knitted this one like at least 5 times, and she used a different yarn for the different, you know, hats. Some of them she said she only used like two strands of Sanne's Garn Sunday. Some patterns she said she used 2 strands of Sunday together with like a mohair. and I think she used different types of yarn. She said everything worked very, very well for this pattern. So I think you can play around a little bit when it comes to yarn for this pattern. But what I've used is actually stash yarn that I had at home, which just also really made me feel very accomplished with this hat. It's Knitting for Olive Merino in the color Marzipan or Marzipan. I don't know, is that how you say it in English? Marzipan? Marzipan? I don't know. But it's in the color wave 96838 from Knitting for Olive. So I used 2 strands of Knitting for Olive Merino together with another yarn that I had in my stash, which was Alpaca Följetråd in the color 2650. So this is extra yarn that I had. I think I used this one for my cardigan, my champagne cardigan. So these 2 together, I mean, it's not, you know, the same color really. This alpaca following thread, it's a bit darker than the Knitting for Olive Merino, but I still wanted the hat to feel quite warm, so I really wanted to have something together with the Merino. And I think actually the color is very nice. So I'm very happy with this finished object. Surprise object for me, but I'm very happy with it. Okay, so those are the finished objects that I have done since my last episode. And let's move on to my current whips. I have started my cardigan number 9, patterned by My Favorite Things Knitwear. I chose to do this one in a natural color together with alpaca following thread from Sun Has Gone as well. I bought the yarn, I talked about the yarn in my last episode, but I bought the yarn, both the merino wool and the alpaca following thread from the yarn festival that I visited last month in Stockholm. And this is how far I've gotten. So it's a saddle shoulder construction that you start knitting. So you start knitting 1 shoulder each. So you do first 1 rectangle and then you do the other rectangle. After that, you pick up stitches at the back for 1 shoulder, cast on stitches in the middle, and then pick up stitches for the other shoulder. And then you knit back and forth for a while. I think there was some short rows here in the middle as well, and doing some short row shaping both here at the top and then as well here at the front when you pick up stitches for the shoulders here at the front. I've also joined in the round, so I'm at the moment where I'm just knitting back and forth for the body. So this is how far I've gotten, and I'm very intrigued with this pattern. Actually, it's growing quite fast, and it's the first time I'm knitting saddle shoulder construction in this way. So I have knitted saddle shoulders before for my husband when I knit him the Northland sweater. It's also a saddle shoulder construction, but the pattern from Petite Knit is written in a way that when you do the saddle shoulder construction, you do raglan increases. So you do raglan increases on both sides of the saddle shoulder to create the saddle shoulder, basically. So it was a completely different type for me to start doing this type of method for the saddle shoulder, and it's been very intriguing actually. I've never done this method before. So it's always fun learning new methods and trying new projects. I'm super excited about this cardigan. I must say, let's show you the yarn. So this is the undyed yarn from, the store was called Avelsås. She has like a store, I don't know exactly where it is, but she was at the yarn festival in Stockholm, so I took the opportunity to buy some merino wool from her. It's in an undyed color. And I use it together with alpaca following thread in the color, let's see, 2321. So these together, I think like this, I think this one would be considered more beige than white. Perhaps it would be hard for you to see on the camera because it's getting quite dark, but yeah, it's definitely more beige than white, so it almost, you know, mutes the white cream color a bit. But I think it creates a very nice color combination here. But I must say that I have been quite disappointed with the merino wool. The reason being it has split a lot of times for me. Now, I don't know if it's been because, I don't know if it's a me problem or if it's a merino wool problem, because I have wound up all of these different hanks into balls, and I don't know if my like tool for it is too hard. I don't know, because it's been splitting quite often actually, and it's made me very annoyed knitting this one just because of the yarn, because every time it's been split I'd have to cut it and rejoin. So I've done that quite a lot of times and it's made me very annoyed, and I don't know if it's a problem from the yarn that it easily splits and that I was too harsh when I wound up the cakes, but that has never happened to me before, so I don't know if it's the yarn or if it's me. I use the tool, I have the yarn, yeah, I don't know the name in English, but the one that you wind up yarn in. So I don't know, I'm super excited to finish this cardigan because I really want another cardigan, and I would really love to finish this one before we travel for our honeymoon. But I'm afraid for every time that I'm, you know, starting a new ball of yarn, that I would have a lot of problems with that specific ball of yarn, because one ball of yarn I think I had to rejoin the yarn like 4 times for like 50 grams, and it was very, very annoying for me because I don't know, I just feel like I want it to be a smooth knitting project and not having to fear that. And that also makes me concerned, and like, have I missed another part while knitting where it has been split, and that's something that I have missed and something that I will notice when it's too late, and will it break? So I don't really like having these concerns while knitting. I just want to make sure that the yarn stays good. It's also quite an expensive yarn as well. I think I paid like at least 700 or 800 Swedish kroner for this merino wool, so I'm not really sure. However, I am very excited to finish this, and as I said, I would really love to finish this before we leave for our honeymoon, which is in 2.5 weeks. Do you think I can do it? I hope I can do that. We'll see. I have a lot of other things that I have to do as well. But so far it's grown quite fast, even though I've had a lot of problems with the splitting of the yarn. Okay, moving on to my other work in progress. I'm gonna show you my Vienna scarf or shawl that you've seen before. But I want to show you how far I have made progress. So this is how far I've gotten. I don't know if you can see the whole scarf in the screen, but I'm knitting the Vienna scarf pattern by Petite Knit. The pattern is called Vienna set. It includes 2 mittens as well, but so far I've only chosen to do the scarf, and I'll see what I'll do next. I think I have 1 more ball of yarn before I finish this scarf. It's knitted in Cardiff Cashmere Classic in the color silver. I believe the number is 509. It's a very smooth scarf, and it's been a comfort for me to knit this, especially after I finished my Ingrid sweater, because I just really wanted something that I could sit and knit stockinette and not having to think anything or having to look at a chart, or just, you know, just mindless stockinette knitting. I think I will be done with this quite soon as well. I would also really like to finish this before we travel away. because yeah, it's something that I would really love to wear while we are away. Yeah, so that's the Vienna scarf. Not much else to say there. It's just you knit in the round stockinette for as long as you want to, and I think I at least want it to be the length of my body before I finish this, because I would really like to be able to wrap it around myself once. And so far it's like this. So I think that, I don't know, perhaps until it's here, then I would be satisfied, I think. So I think that it would be enough to knit this and then another ball of yarn, and then I'll see how far I've gotten. I do have an extra ball of yarn if I need that, to be able to get the length that I want, because I don't want it to be too short, because I want to be able to tie a knot as well for this project. But it's so soft, it's super soft, and it's, yeah, so enjoyable to have this luxury item, because it's the first time I'm knitting with cashmere for myself. Okay, so those are my works in progresses that I have at the moment. And then I would like to share a upcoming project that I'm actually thinking of starting. And I actually joined my first knitting along. It's hosted by Woozy by Celine. And the Knitting Swan. So the knitting along is for mittens. I'm gonna use these colors to create the Bjorg mittens by Strikkesoffe. It's a pattern that's full of color work, and it would be the first time for me to knit color work, and I'm very excited for that. I think I have decided to use this yarn. Now, this yarn is not at all recommended for the pattern, but it's yarn that I have in stash, and I think I would feel very accomplished if I made the mittens from stash yarn. So this is the Peruvian Highland wool from Filcolana. It's the color 977. I used this to knit the terrace neck for my friend. And this is the KAL, let's see the colorway. But this is the yarn that I used for my wedding purse when I knitted the winter clutch. KAL Ullspinneri 8/2 in the color Winter Peach. And then the Filcolana. So the meterage for Filcolana is 100 meters per 50 grams. So that would be 200 meters per 100 grams. And the KAL is 400 meters per 100 grams. So I think that if I use this with two strands together, I would be able to get the same gauge as the Peruvian Highland wool. Yeah, I think I also have enough to be able to knit the small women's size for the mittens. My hands are very small, as you can see, so I'm very excited to do my first color work and to join my first knitting along as well. So I'm very excited to do that. Let's see if I will be able to finish this. I realized that I have a lot of projects that I would like to finish before we leave, but we'll see. The knit along is from, I think it's the whole of December. So I think it starts at the 1st of December and continues to the 31st of December. But I also am very excited to use this color combination as well. I also believe that it's not a perfect match, but quite a good match together with the yarn I have for my Vienna scarf. So that's one of the plans that I have. The other plan that I will start, so now we'll be moving into acquisitions as well, but the only acquisition I have is a zipper, because my plan is to knit, as I talked about in my fall knitting plans, I plan on knitting a zipper sweater for my husband, and I'm knitting the thicker version of the zipper sweater, and the suggested yarn is Fritidsgarn by Sannes Garn. Pattern is by Petite Knit. And yeah, so I've ordered the zipper in the brown color, and I'm waiting for the delivery of the yarn, which is also in the brown color. So that's my future plan as well. Another acquisition I can share is the pattern for the Christmas caramel. This was actually included when I ordered a zipper from Petite Knit. So I got the pattern for the Christmas caramel as well. It's like a very small pattern here you could read. So I might actually do that as well with some extra yarn that I have. I think it's a good pattern to have at hand when you're at home during Christmas. So I might not use it this year, but next year perhaps. So those are the plans that I have for the future as well. So yeah, as I said, we're traveling for our honeymoon in 2.5 weeks. Before that, we have to pack up all of everything in our apartment because we're moving out from our apartment as well. So we're moving out from our apartment the day before we travel away. So we have to start with all of the packing. So I have a lot of stuff to do. We have to pack, we have to prepare for the honeymoon. I think we have to do everything basically, but the thing is that we don't live in a very big apartment at the moment, so it won't take too much time to pack everything up, but still, it's a lot of things to do. So I don't know if I'm overambitious with all of the knitting plans that I want to finish before we move and before we travel, but I plan on bringing the projects with me to our honeymoon as well. What's really nice is that we're going to be able to spend time or crash at my parents-in-law while we don't have somewhere to live. So during our honeymoon, we will be away for the time being when we don't have some place to live, and then when we get home, we get access to our new apartment the day after we get home. So it's gonna be a very hectic couple of weeks. But I'm very excited and very happy with everything that's going on. I don't know when I will be able to sit down in a podcast format the next time, but I think I would like to do maybe a vlog during our trip. If I have the time or something, it would be very fun to share some footage of us going there. But at the same time, I don't really have to stress about thinking, about making a video while we are at our honeymoon. So I don't know, we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I'm actually very happy that I was able to sit down, and I don't know, the light is very bad, but I hope you were able to see enough during this video, and I hope you're not too stressed for everything before Christmas, and that you spend some time for yourself, knitting something for yourself, even though you might be in the stress of gift knitting. Don't forget about yourself. Have a very nice couple of weeks, and I will see you the next time. If you don't, feel free to follow me on my Instagram. I post more frequently there, so if you're interested in what I'm doing and more real-time, up-to-date, follow me there as well. And I appreciate every one of you for watching me talk here and for following me here. Thank you so much, and I will see you soon. Bye friends!